Hi everyone, welcome to the Ask Dr. Lin show where your questions get more thoroughly answered. Many of you come to bakerpedia.com daily through Google's answer boxes. Why do we appear there? Well, because Google thinks we have the best answers for your commercial baking questions. That's why. So hello there and thank you for joining me. I am Dr. Lin from Bakerpedia, the world's largest resource for technical baking information. And there's no fake news on the site, I promise. Have a burning baking question? Bakerpedia it. Still have more questions? Place any comments on the topics that you're researching on Bakerpedia, and I'll do my best to answer them on this show. All right, here goes. I'm going to focus today's show on pizza, bread, and fermentation, my favorite subjects, and I'm gonna get totally geeked out on it today. The biggest question today is, is proofing fermentation, or is fermentation the same as proofing? Most people who aren't trained in bread baking are usually confused by the proofing aspect of the commercial baking process, and this is very common. To really dig in, go to our fermentation page and you will learn the basics of what fermentation is. If this is too much for you right now, don't fret. This is what I'm here to help you for. You see, fermentation is the aspect of taking a microorganism, in this case, yeast, and feeding it a carb. Carbs come in the form of sugar or wheat starch, commonly found in bread dough. So, you give the yeast a carb, it feeds on it, and as a result produces carbon dioxide, alcohol, aromas, and acids, bringing down that pH. That is fermentation in a nutshell. Now, fermentation happens in three key areas in the typical commercial baking process. At the bulk or pre-ferment stage, at the proofing stage, and in the baking stage with oven spring. In the pre-ferment, it can go anywhere from 1 hour or 24 hours as a bigger or poolish. Sponges goes up to 4 hours, and for sponge brew, about 1.5 to 2.5 hours. This is a huge category that gives you an opportunity to produce massive amounts of alcohol and acids on top of the CO2. Don't forget, it also provides the opportunity for the hydration of your protein network. This step is one of the most important in fermentation. Therefore, the longer you keep it here, the more machinable your dough is going to be. Go to our final proof page on Bakerpedia to learn more. In proofing, you're looking to 3 to 5 times the size of the loaf to rise. It usually takes about 60 to 120 minutes to get limited aroma generation. Therefore, it is best to combine the pre-ferment and proofing stages up together to get more fermentation time and to get a better aroma generation. Don't forget, fermentation also happens in the baking process, also known as oven spring. This can happen up to 50% of the baking time. Now, if you don't reach above 140 degrees Fahrenheit or 60 degrees Celsius in internal temps, you don't get to kill the yeast and bacteria in time. How would you know? Well, go to our thermal profiling page to learn how to do this. And if you like to purchase a pedometer, click on the Add on That page and it will give you more information on how to thermal profile your products properly. Okay, back to getting the internal temps to 140 degrees Fahrenheit. For loaf breads, it looks like around 10 to 12 minutes, and in small rolls and buns, it looks like 5 to 7 minutes. Remember, you can control oven spring by making your yeast kill earlier. Again, the information is on the thermal profiling page. By targeting an early yeast kill, you will limit the fermentation and prevent oven spring. So back to the overview. If you take these 3 segments, you can have an idea of what your fermentation process looks like, and you can see where your proofing is happening. I hope you can see here that proofing is a subset of fermentation. It is to give you the volume and the look of a yeast resin product. You'd be surprised. Some pizza doughs can be kept in the refrigerator for up to 2 days or 48 hours. The key issue with keeping refrigerated pizza dough is its leavening potential. Its leavening potential is being reduced as you increase the storage time. Most quick serve places would use a yeasted system. Now, if you use a conventional yeast, then your yeast would be totally expired by the end of 48 hours. And you may not get as much lift or bubbles when you bake your pizza. If you use a maltose negative yeast, or most of us would know it as proof tolerant yeast, you could possibly get a product that you can still use at 96 hours or 4 days. Yes, 4 days in the refrigerator and still get nice lift and bubbles. What kind of yeast is that? Well, for now, I found this product. This yeast was created to go from 72 to 96 hours. Remember, at this point, there's quite a bit of alcohol and acids produced in the dough. At this level, the structure of the dough is weakened or slack. That is why you would need an additional dough conditioning system. So contact our friends at Lallemand to get this new type of yeast and its dough conditioning counterpart into your formulation. I'll include the link below. Remember, no one's perfect. You can't have all store personnel trained on recording storage times. So the best thing is to idiot-proof the dough and make it more tolerant by using a yeast like FlexFirm. Sourdough rye bread. Yum! It's one of my most favorite things in this world. It's moist, it's chewy, and it's dense. If you're not a baker, you may not understand that rye flour has a high amount of panacenes. Panacenes make rye flour absorb more water. Because of this, it competes with the gluten hydration. It could be one of the reasons why the gluten network is not as strong as in a wheat dough. So, rye dough will result in a dense structure and a low volume. Very rarely do we bake 100% rye bread here in the US, and many bakers use smaller portions of rye in their formulation. On this page, you'll see a rye bread formula that's typically used in a US industrial bakery with a 25% yeast flour usage, a 4-hour bulk fermentation, and a 40-minute proof time. Not too long a proof because the rye bread will get too slack if you proof longer than that. Why? Well, because the enzymes in the flour attack the panacenes and releases the water, making the dough slacker over time. Now, how can you prevent that slack? Well, you can add more gluten, or our friends at Solange's Mills have a solution. Heat-treated flour. Yes, you heard me right. Why heat-treated? Well, when you heat-treat flour, you denature the enzymes. In this case, they kill all the enzymes in the rye flour that act on the panacenes. Remember what I say about rye flour having a high amount of panacenes? So with the enzymes removed, there will be no longer any attacks on the panacenes. So they can still do their jobs and hold on to the water molecules. So if you're having issues with slack rye dough, either cut the fermentation time, add more gluten, or use a heat-treated rye flour from people like Solange's Mills. If you have any more baked product quality questions, do a search on Bakerpedia for a solution. Don't forget, we now have a private team of consultants as well. Just go check out this page and you can have our team come on site to solve your problems. Well, that's all I have for today. Okay, till the next time, bakers. Fermentation questions, Bakerpedia it!